Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io.
what's up, guys? So, why can't I hear myself? What is up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? So even before I even start talking about anything, why can't I hear myself? Okay, hold on, y'all. I gotta figure out why I can actually hear myself. Fuck, it's weird. Alright, there we go. Anyway, so I don't even look. Here's the thing, and I'll say this before I start the stream because I know there's gonna be people coming here or whatever and complain or whatever I'm gonna say is gonna piss some people off. I don't really care. I come in here to tell y'all how I feel about the show. I come in here to talk to y'all about how I think it went. And I talk about what happened. We have 4 matches tonight. Started at like probably like 5 o'clock. Um, Honestly, man, this I'll be the first to say I think that this Royal Rumble was by far, and I mean that it's not even close. By far the greatest Royal Rumble I have ever watched in my entire life. Now, there are a lot of downfalls to this because there was some things, especially in the women's Royal Rumble, that I found they had a lot of botches in the Royal, especially the women's Royal Rumble. They had a ton of botches in the women's Royal Rumble. It was like I was sitting there watching. I was like, well, this is one of the worst crowds I've ever seen in my entire life. Then it's a women's match, which is cool. It's like no one cared about any of the show tonight except like towards the end of the men's Royal Rumble. So honestly, the crowd was one of the worst crowds I have ever seen in my entire life, much less a crowd at all. They were very quiet, they didn't care, and it made me tired, honestly, watching this crowd. Why in the world would you pay a ticket to a WWE premium show to sit there and not scream or make noise? You're telling me right now that these people paid all this money to go to an event to just sit there and be quiet? Absolutely not. This was by far, and I even told people in my Snapchat group, this was by far the worst crowd I have seen in I don't know how long. I mean, I can't even remember the time that a crowd was this quiet. Almost the entire time when they were doing the women's Royal Rumble, there was absolutely no reaction to any of this. And I say this because if you go back and you watch the Women's Rumble whenever they have the replay on, there's literally no reaction in any of the women's entrances. The only reactions that they had was with the NXT women. And the NXT women, man, I'll tell you what, they put on a show. In my opinion, the NXT women did great tonight. Roxanne did freaking great. Stephanie did great. You had Nia Jax for some reason, who came in there, I think it was like 27th or 28th, and did absolutely nothing. She took a few people out, and then this big moment where she just basically pushed everybody off. It's pretty obvious that was going to happen. I think, honestly, man, I'll tell y'all, my favorite match tonight was the Cody Rhodes and Kevin's match, match-wise. There's only really 2 matches, actual matches. The rest were just rolling. We had 4 matches. So, I will tell you what, Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes is one of my candidates for match of the year this year. That match, I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I went in thinking, okay, this is going to be a great match. It was so obvious that Cody Rhodes was winning. There was no way that Kevin Owens was winning this match. Not with Cody Rhodes going to WrestleMania. We already knew that he's going to WrestleMania. So they put Kevin Owens in a position where he was going to win regardless. I mean, you could put anybody versus Cody Rhodes. They weren't going to beat Cody Rhodes. It wasn't going to happen. It was never going to happen. I say this to this day. Most of these matches are so predictable, it's underwhelming. Now, let me say this. I did not expect Jey Uso to win the Royal Rumble. I really thought CM Punk was. And I said CM Punk because he was really the odds-on favorite out of everybody. John Cena, I think he would have went to the Chamber, won the Chamber. And then I was like, well, they have Jey Uso and Cena as the last 2. Cena's going to win this. There's no way Jey. It just, in my head, the way WWE does things, it didn't make sense for Jey to win. And then you realize they did it, and it's like, wow, the story makes so much sense with Jey and Gunther. It's incredible how they did it. But Don't even get me started on Logan Paul. This man absolutely killed my vibe when I was watching this match. The fact that there's several things. Here's the deal. Okay, here's the deal. I love Logan Paul in the ring. I have no issue with him. He is by far one of my favorite wrestlers to watch in ring. By far, by far, he is one of the greatest, if not athletes, to come into WWE and do what he's doing as fast as he's been doing. I felt disrespected by him eliminating CM Punk. I did not like that. I hated that so badly because why in the actual earth would CM Punk be eliminated by Logan Paul? That actually pissed me off to the point where I was like, this just killed this whole thing. I really thought that they were gonna have Punk and Cena as the last two. I knew Roman wasn't winning. I knew Seth wasn't winning. Because I kind of already had Roman facing Seth at Mania. If he wasn't gonna face Seth, he was either gonna face Jacob Fatu or Drew McIntyre or CM Punk. Those were my four. My four opponents for Roman at Mania was originally Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, or Jacob Fatu. Now, it's pretty clearly going to do triple threat with Roman, Seth, and Punk. I mean, that's literally what they're doing. I mean, if you can't tell that the match they're going to make, that's the match that's going to, it's going to be a triple threat. I don't mind that at all. I actually like that. I actually like that they're adding, because I wanted to see Punk versus Roman. I wanted to see Seth versus Roman. But all three, I don't mind that at all. I think that is going to be a great match, and I can't wait to see it. If it doesn't happen, then I don't know what Roman does at Mania because I have no clue. They can easily do Seth and CM Punk. They can actually do that. That's so easy to do. Roman, I don't know what he does if he doesn't do Seth or Punk. I could see him potentially facing Drew or even potentially facing Jacob, which would be a great match. Um, I think they had a lot of build up with Penta, especially the fact that man, Penta looked great. Penta looked good, man. I tell people all the time, Penta has came into WWE and absolutely tore it down, and he really killed him in AEW. Um, which I don't really watch AEW because I mean I just don't really care for it. They have absolutely zero storytelling. The matches are great, but there's absolutely no storytelling in anything they do. So if you want to watch AEW, just know you're getting no storytelling with great matches. In WWE, you get great storytelling with 50-50 good or bad matches. So let me go ahead and start this review because honestly, I want to start with the Women's Royal Rumble. And I was actually the thing with this is the crowd really killed this for me. And like I was sitting there like thinking like what is it gonna take for this crowd to like wake up? What are we doing? It really pissed me off that the crowd wasn't invested in any of this, and I just wish that some people would value some of the women wrestlers. Man, I love that Alexa Bliss is back. I thought AJ Lee was going to come back. That's who I originally thought was going to be the return this year. But Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair came back. We had, who else? Jordan Grace, man, she did a great job. She had a great performance. As I said, Roxanne, man, she freaking killed it. She went through the whole Rumble. She looked great. Even Liv Morgan, man, I'll tell you what. I am not the biggest Liv Morgan fan, but I will tell you what, Liv Morgan looked really good tonight, especially like she went almost through the entire Rumble. I low key thought Liv was might have won it to face Ripley again, but I think they're gonna do. My question is, who does Charlotte face? Because on one side you have Rhea Ripley, right, which would be a fantastic match on its own, and then you have the match I want to see, which is Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. I think that's what they do. Now for Rhea Ripley, I have no idea who she's gonna face. I could see her facing a couple people. I could see Rhea Ripley facing Asuka. I could see Rhea Ripley facing Io Sky, which would be a fantastic match. Um, I could even see Rhea Ripley versus I don't know. Um, you can name wrestlers that Rhea could face, but I think Rhea will have probably Io Sky as your best choice. I think that Io Sky and Rhea would put on a fabulous match, and I think that Charlotte and Tiffany as well is most likely the route that they're going with this. Um, as far as the tag match go, I liked it. It just this this crowd really killed the matches. And I don't know if it was the crowd or the fact that I just wasn't really invested in the tag match. It was a good match. It was a good match. It was solid. It had hits and misses. Um, I am not too familiar with the machine guns. I didn't really watch them when they were in other promotions, so kind of when they came over, I was kind of okay. Let's see what's up. And DY, don't get me wrong, DY is a great team, man. They are great heels. Especially Tommaso. Tommaso is a great heel. I think that he one of the best heels in the business, and I hate to say it, man. I don't like Jargan. I don't like Gargano's heel. I really don't. I don't know if it's the fact that it just doesn't really fit him. It's kind of like playing heel with Cody Rhodes. It could work and it couldn't work, and I don't really like Gargano as a heel. It's cool, but it's not. I can't really see it. Tommaso Ciampa is a great. He's probably one of the best heels. Like Kevin Owens, I say this every day. By far, Kevin Owens is still my favorite heel in WWE. He is. He is absolutely killing as a heel. Honestly, I think Kevin Owens should have won. I know I sound crazy for saying that, but man, what a match these two guys. I'm not even making. I didn't expect much from this match. I expected some spots, but let me tell you, this match absolutely delivered everything with everything on the table. It got to the point where even after the match, Cody was checking on KO because I legit think KO actually got hurt at the end of the match. He looked like he was actually messed up. Like he looked like he was knocked out or something was wrong because the way he was looking, I don't know if y'all saw, but at the end of the match, they showed Kevin Owens laying outside the ring. He did not look good. It actually looked like he was legit hurt. I couldn't tell. He's really good at acting, but that was a really rough spot he took with the ladder. So I hope that Kevin Owens is actually okay and nothing serious is going on. But for the love of God, this is one of the greatest matches, one of the greatest ladder matches I've seen. And let me tell you, man, that was wow, wow. I don't even know like where to begin because there was. I could go back and watch. I can tell y'all every single spot that happened in the match. But bless you. I really enjoyed this match. I think that they did a lot. I think that they had a lot of good spots, and I think that they really turned up the volume to try to get this crowd invested. Because, quite frankly, as I said, this crowd had no interest in any of this. They didn't care. They didn't want to be here. It's almost like the crowd was watching a baseball game, and I'm not making that up. It's like at the beginning it's baseball game. At the end, it's like overtime in a football game. All right, that's kind of what it was. Um, you had your spots like some of these ladder spots look really nasty. I'm talking like they had in the first like 5 minutes of the match, Cody hit like a suplex on Kevin Owens, or I think actually it was Cody. Cody hit a suplex on Kevin Owens through like the ladder. I hadn't seen that in a while. Like they just like suplexed through the ladder and it broke like the half. That was cool. And I also like the addition of them adding the bar from the ladder, just meleeing each other with the bar. That to me was pretty cool. Um, I really feel like the men's Royal Rumble was especially this Royal Rumble was the greatest Royal Rumble in men's history. I don't care. You can't argue. Maybe you can go back to where they had the Undertaker, Goldberg, and Brock Lesnar. But I think that this Royal Rumble really hit and it really missed. Like I said, I really hated the spot with Logan Paul eliminating CM Punk. I think that was total bullshit. They could have gone a completely different route from what they were even trying to do with this. It just it that really rubbed me the wrong direction. And when I say that, man, I can't stress enough that why on earth are you having CM Punk be eliminated by Logan Paul? Please, for the love of God, make this make sense to me. Why on earth is Logan Paul eliminating the man who is supposed to win the Royal Rumble? This actually makes me upset because I wanted to see CM Punk and John Cena be the final two. I wanted it. I wanted it so bad. We got a moment where we had Roman, CM Punk, and John Cena in the ring. And then Seth came out. I was like, oh shit. Excuse my language. This is getting it. This is getting insane. Like, I told people before the Royal Rumble, we don't have an opponent for Roman yet. Roman still technically doesn't have a path to Mania because he lost the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns doesn't need to win the Royal Rumble. He didn't need to win the Royal. Roman Reigns doesn't need another title. I don't. I will never understand why people think that Roman needs another title match. Roman was a champion for 4 years. He did one hell of a job as a champion. He was, if not the greatest champion in this modern era ever. Let me explain something to y'all. Roman does not need another title ever. Roman already went 4 years with the title. He put the company on his back for 4 years, and then he was like, okay, pass the torch to Cody Rhodes. Right? Let me explain something else. The fact, like I said, I had 4 opponents for Roman Reigns before the Rumble. This was before Rumble. I had Drew McIntyre, Jacob Fatu, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. That was my 4 opponents. Now going into WrestleMania, since the Rumble is over, I have Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins in a triple threat. That's me. That's what you do. Especially after whatever just happened with Punk getting eliminated by Logan Paul. I got so upset. I don't even remember who Seth got eliminated by, because I got so upset by the fact that Logan Paul eliminated CM Punk, much less him coming in at number 30. When they could have easily, I said this before number 30. I wanted it to be Randy. I wanted Randy to win the Royal Rumble, go face Cody at Mania. That's me. I wanted Randy to win. I didn't care about anybody else in the Rumble. I said, okay, put Randy at number 30, have him come back, win the Royal Rumble, go face Cody Rhodes. But putting Logan Paul at 30 was so disrespectful to me, it just pissed me off. It pissed me off so bad. And the fact that they think that's okay, I don't know what the process of thinking of doing that was. Maybe they just had the idea of Logan Paul. He is, don't get me wrong, like I said before, Logan Paul is one of the greatest performers in the ring, whether you like it or not. I don't necessarily like Logan Paul. I'm not a Logan Paul fan. He's done some really messed up stuff in the past. But as a performer, he is one of the greatest performers in the ring. I don't care what anyone says to y'all. You can go watch his matches and tell me that he did not have one of the greatest, if not best matches with Roman Reigns that Roman Reigns had in his title run, outside of Drew McIntyre. Okay? I think it was more the fact that the Royal Rumble was stacked, and I got upset that Logan Paul came in at 30. Let me tell y'all something. Braun Breaker, bro, is a fucking dog. That man absolutely delivered some of the most explosive spears to anyone I have ever seen. This man killed IShowSpeed. Like, he straight up just split this man in half. And then the spear to Roman looked absolutely. The spear to Roman just threw me off. I was like, God damn, Roman. Even Roman was like, damn, bro, you just blew my body up. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'll tell y'all what, Braun Breaker delivered. Braun Breaker, his spears tonight look absolutely amazing. When I say he speared Roman Reigns, I don't mean he speared Roman. He cut Roman Reigns in half. He made Roman Reigns' spear look like it was nothing. And then he also killed IShowSpeed too, so that was pretty funny. And then you had Otis, who dumped him over the table as well. I think you go into WrestleMania season. What now? What do we do for WrestleMania season? My original plan for the Royal Rumble and what I thought they were going to do is I thought The Rock was going to come out at 31 and screw Roman Reigns, because originally we all thought that Rock and Roman were going to face at Mania. That was the whole thing from last year to this year. They still have yet to explain Cody Rhodes and Rock making up. That absolutely threw me off. The fact that you had Cody Rhodes last year win the Royal Rumble, and then have the whole thing with The Rock, and then now we see The Rock and he's not even mad at Cody, or that doesn't really add up at all. So I'm assuming The Rock is not doing Mania now. I'm assuming that since we're done with the Royal Rumble, The Rock's not doing Mania. I'm almost guaranteeing that The Rock doesn't do WrestleMania now. And something crazy has to happen. Like, I think they're setting up for Mania. I think they're setting up for Mania. Here are my three Mania matches. Here I'm gonna tell y'all this right now, so y'all can hear this from here, and then take this information and use it later when I go live after WrestleMania. You have Gunther versus Jey Uso, which will be an amazing ass match. I don't care what anybody says. The storytelling is absolutely there. You have Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. I don't care what anybody says. I want to see that match. If it doesn't happen, it's gonna be John Cena. Don't even get started on that match because that absolutely makes no sense. Unless they assume to make a story with this whole thing with Cody Rhodes and John Cena, it doesn't sound right to me. I want to see Cody and Randy. It's the only match I really can see happening with Randy Orton, unless it's Kevin Owens. Now, I could go about and we could talk about this all night of matches that I want to see, but the matches that are gonna happen is what really matters. I have, like I said, I have Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton. I have Jey Uso and Gunther. I have Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk in a triple threat because that's pretty clear it's gonna happen. I mean, from what Rollins just hit, what, two curb stomps on Roman outside the ring? That was massive. That's a huge hit right there. If they're not hinting at something, if you don't see it, then I don't know what to tell y'all. Now, for Drew McIntyre, this is interesting. I don't know what Drew's gonna do at Mania. But I'll tell y'all what I want to see. I want to see Drew versus Jacob Fatu. Let me explain something to y'all, bro. The sound of that match sounds great. The thing is, how do you put Drew and Jacob into a singles match without involving the rest of the bloodline? Because you have to remember that it's not just Jacob, it's Solo and it's the Tongans, right? I went into the Royal Rumble thinking that we are going to get Jey Uso and Jimmy versus the Tongans, or some sort of tag match that can relate to what they're doing. But no, now they're doing Jey and Gunther, right? So that makes me wonder, what are they going to do with Jimmy Uso? Because now, absolutely, I have no idea. I couldn't even think of a thing they could do with Jimmy Uso. You could involve him in Bloodline. I mean, you could somehow insert him into Solo's bloodline because I think Roman is done with the bloodline for right now. I think he's just kind of pushing that aside. And you also have like Sami Zayn. I think that's the match for Kevin Owens. I think it's Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think that they're going to absolutely pull the trigger on that. I'm going to love that match. I'm going to cherish that. So I'm going to call it right now. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 1-on-1. I can see that. Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre 1-on-1. Absolutely can see that. Solo. Here's the thing with Solo. I actually heard someone say that Solo should fight Jacob, which, in a way, it does make sense because I think that Solo might come back as a face, depending on what they want to do with him. I just don't know what Solo does at Mania. I can't put my finger on it. I can't put my finger on what Solo does at WrestleMania. I can't. Maybe he misses Mania, but here's the thing. I don't know. I don't know what Solo does, and that's tough to think what Solo can do at Mania. I don't know. I can't really think of anything right now. So yeah, the Women's Royal Rumble. Let me say this. I'm gonna keep saying this because I mean the crowd was ass tonight. The crowd, the show was just ruined by the crowd. It wasn't ruined particularly entertainment wise because the Royal Rumble really carried the show. The Royal Rumble really carried the show. Before that, it was Kevin Owens and Randy. Or no, sorry, tired. It was Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. Okay, which was still for me the match of the night as a match because technically the Royal Rumbles are matches, but they're not actual matches. They're not. You get what I mean. So I think the Royal Rumble delivered. I think this was by far the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. I think that they could have done a little bit different from what they did. I still just don't like the fact that Logan Paul was this big, eliminating big superstars type of deal. no idea what Logan Paul does at WrestleMania. I'm assuming they put him. I could see him versus Penta. I think that they either they do that or they do Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Logan Paul, um, which could be a very interesting match. I mean, they've already teased Braun Breaker and Penta on Raw, so I absolutely would love to see that match. Um, for Sammy, like I said, I think it's Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I think they do that at WrestleMania. I absolutely would love that match. Um, because you could do so much at WrestleMania, but there's only so many matches that can happen. So you kind of have to put these guys into certain matches with not too many matches. You got to separate the matches from the amount of matches. And what I mean by that is you are going to either have around 10 or 12 matches, which is what they kind of want to do. I'm assuming if they don't do 10, they might do 8 because it's going to be in 2 different nights. It's going to be one night and 2 night. So your one night main event, you have your 2 night main event. I 100% agree that Gunther and Jey Uso should main event night 2. I don't care what anybody says. The story is there. You want to do it, do it. Night 1 is absolutely fine as well. I think that they could pull the trigger on that. But I don't. If they don't do Jey Uso and Gunther on night 2, they do it on night 1 as the main event. Night 2 main event. Here's the thing. I don't mean any disrespect to Cody Rhodes. I don't mean. I love Cody Rhodes. I don't think Cody is a bigger draw than Roman. I don't. I don't. I absolutely don't. I never could see why people thought that Cody was going to be a bigger star than. I could never understand. As I said before, Roman does not need another title to be this great ass motherfucking heel or face. Roman's definitely a better heel than a face. We've already went over this. I've already discussed this. Roman is by far the greatest heel of this generation, with or without a title. He doesn't need a title. He didn't need to win the Royal Rumble. I've said this I don't know how many times. Roman was not going to win the Royal Rumble. He wasn't. There was no way Roman was going to win the Rumble because there was too many other stars in the Rumble. So, please, for the love of God, Roman was not going to win the Rumble. Seth Rollins was not going to win the Rumble. Sami Zayn wasn't going to win the Rumble. AJ Styles definitely wasn't going to win the Rumble. I don't know. If you thought AJ Styles was going to win the Rumble, something's wrong with you. No one thought Jay was going to win. If you actually thought Jay was going to win, you're out of your mind. If you actually said for the match, hey, I think Jey Uso is going to win the Royal Rumble, you were lying to yourself because nobody thought Jay was winning the Royal Rumble. If you thought Jay was winning the Royal Rumble, you need to get mentally checked because maybe you're just the smartest person on earth. But man, I do feel like this was one of the greatest Royal Rumbles of all time, if not the greatest Royal Rumble of all time, with all the star power that was in there. I think they could have done like I said, I think they could have done a better job with Logan Paul and how they handled that. I originally, like I said, I wanted either Randy or Brock. It sucks that we didn't see Brock. I hated it. I really thought they were going to pull the trigger on Brock, but apparently they're not ready to bring him back yet, so we'll wait and see if they do that later this year. But as I said, let's go over this. I'm actually going to write these down so I remember, because sometimes I don't remember my matches that I make. So we're going to go in, and I am going to make my WrestleMania predictions for right now. I'm going to go in, write what I think matches are going to happen. So let's go. Let's see. So, night 1, I'm going to say this again. You have Jay versus Gunther, right? Jay versus Gunther is happening whether y'all like it or not. You have Cody versus Randy. You have Roman, if I can spell the name right, versus Punk versus Seth. You have Rhea versus Io, which probably will happen. If it doesn't, I don't mind Rhea facing someone else. I don't know who off the top of my head, but I'll have to think about it. You have Tiffany versus Flair. You have KO versus Sammy. This is just some matches I'm making in my head right now that I can actually see up. Other matches: Drew versus Jacob. Yeah, I can see Drew versus Jacob. I could definitely see Drew versus Jacob. And then you have Braun versus Penta. And then, yeah, I mean, for right now, that's what I got. So you have Jey Uso versus Gunther. You have Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. You have Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. You have Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. You have Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. You have Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. You have Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu. And then you have Braun Breaker versus Penta. That would cook by itself. That would cook by itself. I would actually be okay with all of it. That absolutely would be the best, probably the best path to any of this. Because you kind of already set up WrestleMania tonight. You kind of already did. You already set up Jey versus Gunther. That's already there. Jey versus Gunther is happening whether people like it or not. Already happening. Then you have Cody versus Randy, which I think will happen somehow. Here's the thing: if Cody doesn't face Randy Orton, he's gonna face John Cena. It's not gonna be CM Punk, and I'll tell you why. Why? Because I have Roman facing CM Punk and Seth Rollins in a triple threat. It's so obvious that that's happening. If you don't see that happening, then you're just clearly moving past everything else that I've just talked about before any of that. Then, after that, I feel like Rhea Ripley, the best opponent right now for Rhea Ripley, would be Io Sky. Out of everyone on the roster, especially on the Raw roster, Io Sky would be a perfect match for Rhea Ripley. Absolutely would be a stacked match. I would love to see Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. That would absolutely make my day. And then you have Tiffany versus Charlotte Flair, which is definitely happening no matter what. Because if Tiffany doesn't face Charlotte, I don't know what the hell we're doing. Right? I don't know what the hell is going on. Okay? And then Kevin Owens versus Sami is obvious as well. Okay? So yeah. I think this pay-per-view was an 8 out of 10. The reason I say 8 out of 10 is because this crowd absolutely did not care about anything. This crowd was terrible. This crowd was by far the worst crowd I have ever seen in a WWE program in my entire life. And I'm serious. I think that you have to look at... WWE has to study of why. They need to study this crowd. They need to study every person individually and understand how they think. Because this crowd absolutely had no energy. It was like they walked into the building after watching 6 different wrestling shows already. So yeah, that's my review. I think that this was an 8 out of 10. If the crowd was alive, I would have gave it a 10 out of 10. But damn, this crowd really killed the show. This crowd really made dead weight become deader. So I think that you have to put in a bunch of factors of why they were doing certain things in the Rumble for some of those spots. There were, of course, there were a bunch of botches in the female Rumble. Oh my God, I don't even know how many botches I've counted in the Rumble, especially with the female Rumble. I didn't really count a lot in the men's Rumble. There were certain people in the men's Rumble that got eliminated quick, like Kaiser, and Braun Strowman didn't even last that long. But yeah, that's my review. I'll go live later this week to talk about my official WrestleMania matches. What I have planned, I think they're gonna do. After Raw, I think we'll kind of get more of an idea of what they're gonna do. But yeah, I'm gonna head to bed, y'all. I am super tired. I have not slept well, so I'm gonna get some sleep. I'm gonna go eat, and I hope y'all have a great night. I want y'all to keep y'all's heads up, and I hope y'all enjoyed my stream. I hope I entertained y'all a little bit talking about this. My streams are gonna be terribly long because, like I said, I don't really have enough of an audience yet to take it to like an hour. So I just wanted to come on here and give my initial thoughts about the pay-per-view and what I felt. They did right and they did wrong. By far, Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens was the best thing tonight outside the men's Rumble. So yeah, I hope y'all take it easy. I hope y'all have a great night, and I will see y'all on my next stream when we go live this weekend. Peace out.